Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to, you guessed it, been waiting for this for a very, very long time. The Warlord, DC Comics Warlord Omnibus. Look at that freaking monster, right? Well, there's some good and bad news. It is a monster. It is huge, but they have decreased, in my opinion, the paper quality from the glossy pages of most of the omnibuses that I own. This is more of a, it's almost like a thin construction paper. It's not quite newsprint, but it's definitely not the quality paper we're used to with omnibuses, and going forward with at least the DC omnibuses, I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful which ones I do and don't grab. Those of you who are not familiar with DC Comics, the Warlord, what are you doing with your life? This is one of the greatest sword and sorcery, sci-fi fantasy stories of all time. Right up there with John Carter. Obviously some inspiration there from Mike Grell, who illustrated and wrote all of this as far as I can remember. At least this entire volume, which is, I believe, 36 plus the first issue, which was, let's go over here real quick. There's a lot of intro. The #1 first special issue, 25 cents, November 8th of 1975. And then the next issue is actually where he gets his first full-fledged comic book in 76. Just for giggles. Yeah, #1 February, 25 cents was all it cost back in the day, and I loved every page of it. Travis Morgan, the Warlord, is a United States Air Force officer who is piloting over the Antarctic, and gets in to a little bit of a dogfight with a couple of MiGs, and since he's following the polar land as opposed to his instruments, he ends up in the hollow world Earth sort of situation of Skartaris, which is full of magic and dinosaurs, lots of dinosaurs, sorcery, and even some Atlantean technology that may or may not actually be a secret earthly cabal of high-tech ne'er-do-wells who've got schemes of their own. He meets up with a young woman named Tara, and they have, of course, the language difficulty, which I really actually appreciated, that they didn't just go, oh, everybody speaks English, which is, and would be kind of ridiculous, but they have a couple of little adventures together, sold into slavery because they get outnumbered. Even though Travis has got his handy-dandy, I'm not sure what model 44 semi-automatic handgun. I'll have to look into that because that seems a little wonky. Maybe Mr. Grell was real good at drawing, but not so good at knowing a thing or two about actual firearms. But I digress. He manages to... That's the boy. I'm going to close the door just so it's not so distracting. He's got a wonderful singing voice, but a terrible sense of timing. Travis carries his 44 around quite a bit and uses it and runs out of ammo, only to later find when he later comes back across the cockpit of his airplane, there's a box that looks like it's got like 20 magazines, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not how they do things, not even remotely. He'd be lucky to have 3, but again, digressing, the Warlord eventually meets his arch enemy, a sorcerer named Diamos, who, from the hints that they give apparently knows a little bit more than he probably should know about technology. Maybe he's actually from the surface world, and I'm not sure how that played in. It's been a long time since I read these comic books. I was reading some of them when they were coming out, and I have most of them in comic book form, but to have them in omnibus form, even with the cheaper paper, which isn't, all that different from actual newsprint from back in the day, this is absolutely one of my favorite comic books, and I might even do a top 10 comic book when we exhaust the other ones. But if you guys are into that sort of thing, the gonzo, the multi-genre, sci-fi, fantasy, Hollow Earth, John Carter kinds of stories, you really would be hard-pressed to find something better than this. And I've already read, as you can see, like 80 pages, and I've got a long way to go. Let's find out real quick just how many pages are in this, and then I want to show you something else that I really thought was awesome that they did for this particular omnibus, which is something you'd only find in, is that a page or is that 2 pages? I think it's actually a fold. It is. Oh, look at that. A 3-page fold out, and it's not a Playboy. I'm going to share that with you because that's a surprise I wasn't expecting. It's going to be hard to not rip these pages and do this just right, but there is a big, massive, I don't know if you can see that very well, 3 pages plus a nice pin-up over there of Travis Morgan, and then on the back is the black and white version, uncolored. Very, very cool. That bumps this up a full half a notch for me. Just the fact that they did that, and then of course I have to bend it wrong. But on the inside, front, and back cover are parts of the map of the world of Skartaris and Bloodstained, and etc. But it's got all the places that, or at least a bunch of the places that I'm already familiar with, only going 80 pages into it, and I did that this afternoon. I couldn't put it down. It reads quick. It reads like a Conan John Carter comic book with lots of scantily clad women and crazy looking dinosaurs and monsters and demons and lizard people, a yellow and black spotted unicorn, just everything you could possibly want. So before, well, I guess it was right before the John Carter comics, actually. So maybe they influenced each other back and forth. And this ran for several years. This book alone goes all the way up to 1980. I guess the Warlord comic book didn't get printed or published every month. Maybe it was a bi-monthly thing. But I'm really glad I got this. This was sort of my Valentine's gift to myself. And I got to thank our good friend Bear the Gen X GM, who turned me on to In Stock Trades, not a stock market trading site, but an actual, not secondhand, but aftermarket sort of place to buy comic book trade paperbacks and omnibuses and a lot of things. And this one was like half price, even though it just came out, I believe, last month. And I just got it, and I sat on it for about a week waiting, having to do some other obligations and take care of some other stuff. And I finally got the opportunity to read through about 80 pages of this in about 2 hours. And I'm looking forward to reading more of this. If you'd like to know more, you can look this up yourself. But the price on InStock was too good compared to what the regular asking price is. And the stories and the action and the excitement and the adventure and all of what you would hope to find in a sci-fi fantasy story of an Earthman that goes to another world with all the crazy tropes that we've all come to love. At least I certainly have. But that's what I've got for you this morning. I'm gonna probably go read a few more issues of this before I hit the hay for the evening. I hope you guys will check out In Stock Trades. I'm just passing along some good information. But better yet, go see if you can find the Warlord somewhere and pick up a couple issues. See if it's your thing, if you're into that sort of thing. I certainly am. And I will see you guys, guessed it, in the funny pages.